Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Becoming Human. If we are to survive as a species, we must release our necessity to war. If we cannot live past our differences, we will always seek out division, hate, anger, and rage. All of these are psychological loops which feed war. We must find it within ourselves to release our own pain. We will share that pain with one another. How primitive is it to war over our own differences, territories, ideology, religion, or beliefs? How can we survive as a species if we hold on to the things that divide us from being whole? In all the years past that have brought us to this present moment, we have been fraught with war. War which breeds trauma, hate, and differences. Our evolution begins with the individual. It cannot begin anywhere else. Have you ever tried to change somebody who doesn't want to change? It's nearly impossible. Only in those few moments can someone find that change within themselves and then share that change with others. Hate, deception, fear, pain, animosity, rage, anger are viruses in the mind, and we feed them. The body becomes addicted to them, just like any other substance. It's a chemical relationship with our biology that feeds structures in the mind. If we do not even understand our own biology, how can we learn to go beyond the very things which would divide us? Love, for example, produces a cacophony, a symphony of chemicals that alter your biology and your chemistry, your neurology. When we fall in love, everything becomes beautiful again, and yet nothing changes. Our chemistry is everything, and yet when we hate, our world has the capacity to darken. All shades of vibrant colors just kind of seem to gray out. Hopelessness, depression, all of them fed with our misunderstanding, our pain, the pain of others, the actions of others, the words of others. We are creators. We create this division. I see humanity, all of us. I see so much of our pain. Where is it all coming from, if not from you and I? And we feed that hate when we do not forgive. We feed that disdain when we do not let go. We do not see our own beauty when we only see fear or feel the judgment of others. How can we move forward in this cycle? We go to war. Some of us come back in body bags with badges of honor. Some of us go home as heroes. We believe in our cause. We are told there is a purpose to this war that we are in, because someone would come to our doorstep and take what is ours. Yes, of course we will fight. And then when we lose something that is ours, we will fight for that. Because we are human beings who desire to survive, to thrive, to feel, to love, to experience. And when one of us would take that from another, would there not be war? This is a natural cycle, and yet it is primitive. The complexities of these ideas which would precipitate violence and hatred are fed by those who would feed it. We each have these moments. But as our species evolve, we must realize that the necessity for this, the desire to force our will upon another who has a different belief, a different idea of how things work, will only bring the cycle of war back to us. We only want to see our side of the coin. We want to hold righteousness in our hearts when we would take the life of another, hate another, steal out of desperation, murder out of addiction, rob, to feed our own hate, our own compulsions, our own fear, to act out of fear, acceptance, or orders. And how is this not primitive when we don't understand the defining factors of our own chemistry that would even lead us to this place? When there are those of us that would feed war, hate, rage, and anger, not just in our own hearts, but to the hearts of others. We all have those days. Sometimes you wake up and you have the same days you always do, and it's just a beautiful thing that day. Other days, if you're anything like me, or like most of the world, you go to a job that perhaps is not your favorite, which serves as means to an end, to provide for your family, to take care of yourself, to pursue a life that you would dream of pursuing. And yet most of us are stuck in a loop of survival. We have bills to pay, things to do, because the ideas of the world are run from those who would trample over you. Marxism, communism, they don't work. Commerce, business, democracy, diplomacy, well, they don't work either. None of these work because the hearts and minds of humanity have been corrupted with violence and hate. We are told there is never enough. We are told we must evolve outside of ourselves. We must look outside of ourselves for that which we seek. And there, once we have it, we will find whatever it was we needed that we didn't have in here. And yet often when we get there, we realize that that wasn't the punchline. You don't feel what you need to feel. Either we desire more or we desire less. Because evolution cannot come from outside of ourselves. It must be a revolution of the mind, a revolution of the individual, a revolution of their small circle and those that they love and care about. Generosity can heal so many hearts and so many hands when we live in a plentiful world, we will never own anything because it will outlive us, because we are a part of the cycle. How can my child own my home when a single stone will outlive every man, woman, and child in this generation? External gratification does not provide internal satisfaction. It cannot. It's not even there in the chemicals, in the science. It's not written into our code, into our biology. We must begin to understand ourselves. You do not need to read a book on biology and physics to understand the necessity of love in the human body and its capacity to heal at a cellular level because of the simple chemistry it produces in our biology. States of gratitude have been shown to do wonders for the human body. States of chronic inflammatory have shown to devastate the human body. Anger, rage, jealousy produces these chemicals. We will upregulate inferior genes because of the chemistry which signals to them, which works with our hormone system, which works synergistically with our perspective, our mind, our hearts, our community, our environment, having our needs met. And yet we live in a plentiful and abundant world. Couple that with human ingenuity, and we will never live in lack. But what are we told? What are we told? Our resources will run dry. We are bound to the dogma of fossil fuels when innovation would have far superior passed it long ago. We have a car, by the way, that tracks our information. A cell phone that tracks our information. A little handheld rocket ship that communicates with satellites connected to the internet of all things. And yet we run off of fossil fuels. You ever stop to wonder why your car can communicate with a satellite and Wi-Fi cell phones but gets 20 miles to the gallon? All of these things are run under the illusion of control to keep us in a position to where we would not be abundant, to where we would not find lack. Rather, we would only find lack and not abundance. All of it unnecessary. All of it a lie. And we need to wake up to that simple truth. Know thyself. Heal thyself. To do no harm, the Hippocratic Oath. Hippocrates would roll over in his grave if he would know what we have done with modern medicine. So many of us have no idea what the power of a clean diet and exercise, a healthy mind. Our biology comes from galaxies and universes of evolution. For our small speck in the sky. And yet the irony of this is we cannot comprehend all the lifetimes it took to give you and I life. For all of those forebearers before us, our mothers and our fathers. You are valued in that alone for the life it took to give you life, to give me life. And we genetically hold on to their pain. This has been shown in studies of how we inherit trauma and how it affects the brain and body. The truth is out there. We're connected to it. And yet we don't look past our nose because we're too busy worrying about foolish things. And yet we must. And they will consume us to pay our bills and provide for our families. Everything could be different. We need a revolution of peace, of helping hands, of love, of insight, forgiveness, and wisdom. How much more technology do we need? We need to be healthy. We need to realize the potential of the human body. We need to induce the placebo effect to heal. The power of faith alone is not restricted to any religion, and yet it has the potential to help the body heal, relax, and withstand pain. We want to own truth, but we cannot. Truth does not belong to any one of us. It belongs to all of us. And yet there are universal truths, because we feel universally love, hate, anger, peace, forgiveness, a sense of responsibility for those that we care about. We are not powerless. We are not alone in our desire to have peace, or society would not function. Those of us that would produce and feed these ideas are few, and they are sick, and they are ill, and we all have these moments, and sometimes we're strong enough to let them pass, and sometimes we're strong enough and willful enough to hold on to them and spread these ill-begotten truths shared by pain for a lifetime. To teach our children to hate, not love. To teach our children division and war, not peace. We have the power of that choice. And yet, if we do not see it, we cannot hold it. Because this is not something tangible that we pick up and hold with our hand. It is something we feel, that we know, that we innately hold within our own hearts. But if we do not first see it there, how can we share it? How can we experience it? How can we feel it? We are told that we are powerless. And yet we have done all of this. We are told that we have less value than another man or woman. And yet it took every single one of us to get here. There are those of us that would hate to believe that we are better than others. White-collar trash. Power and wealth is not prosperity of mind and heart and body. It is not an illness, but it goes hand in hand with madness. How can you be happy if you hate the world? And that is the gift that you would give humanity, is judgment upon one another? When first we must look in the mirror and judge our own actions? It's easier to be in a state of rage. We are wired for many things, but it does not have to be war, hate, anger, rage. It can be peace and harmony. But what do we hear on the news? War, hate, division, separation, judgment. War, hate, division, separation, judgment. Separation. Why? Tell me how you could even have a cell phone. How could I even have a cell phone if there weren't more peace than there was war? And how much do these individuals that get paid to make these miracles of technology? A lot of them not enough. And yet the companies that hold this would believe that those that would provide for them the bounty that would allow them to have a company are not worth paying well. It is an illness in the mind. And it is all unnecessary. All of it. If we do not find peace, we will find destruction. Because that is the natural process of a pestilence. It will become balanced. Hate will run its course of division and pain, and then circle around again to give us another opportunity to evolve. War is our inability to find connection, and it would be fed by those who would eat it off of their own tables and feed it to the tables of humanity. So then we would discuss it with our families and their families, and we would create division and rage and judgment. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why? If you would like another discussion point on this matter, please drop a comment below. I enjoy open engagement, and I would like to see how other people feel about this. How can we turn it around? We have to. There has to be a way. With everything a human being is capable of. Why stop here? Because when the hand rolls around, there will be nothing left. And yet it never has to go to that place. If we first begin to heal ourselves, we will then heal each other.